Okay. So today I'm going to do a brief introduction to Pendle Finance, and feel free to interrupt if you have any question, and I'll pause in different places so that everyone can follow up. But I think it's quite simple. Okay. So I have the links right here. You can click on the app link to try their product, like to play around with it and see what's their like UI and functionalities. And I also put the docs here and also a learn page. I actually think they're a learning page. I actually think they did a pretty good job on their learning page. You can see that there's some like beautiful graphics right here, and I think the description is actually pretty clear. So you can take a look. And yeah, so what is Pendle Finance? It's actually a very fast-growing yield derivative platform on Ethereum mainnet and Arbitrum. So you can find it on the DeFi Lemma, and you can see that their TVL is actually growing very fast. Okay, so what can a user do on Pendle Finance? First of all, you can buy an asset at a discount and receive the assets after a period of time. And we call this period of time maturity. And second, you can long and short on the rate of a certain yield. For example, if the yield of STE is at 5% APY, and you think it's going to be like 8% in the future, you can actually long on the yield. So you earn money when the 5% goes up, and you lose money when the 5% goes down. And also you can short on the yield as well. And the third thing you can do on the platform is provide liquidity, because there's trading pool in the platform. So you can provide liquidity and earn the swap fee. So I'm going to explain why you can do such things on the platform, like how does it work under the hood. And I'll also provide a few example strategies so that you can understand more clearly, like what you can utilize the platform to achieve. Okay, so let's start on the terminology. I put all the term here, so if you forgot what the term means, you can always go up and check the terminology here. So first, yield-bearing token. So yield-bearing token means the token that can generate some yield. So it's pretty straightforward. For example, like compound DAI. If you put a DAI into compound, you will have some APY, and also like Aave USD and STE. Also GOP is yield-bearing token as well. And for standardized yield token SY, this is basically a wrap token that is developed by the Pendle team, which is just a wrap for the yield-bearing token. It's for development convenience, so it's actually not very important. You can just think of like these two tokens are the same thing. So for example, if you deposit 100 AUSD into Pendle Finance, they will first convert it to the SY AUSD token, and this SY token can then mint 100 PT and 100 YT. I'll explain the PT and YT later. So just need to remember this is just a wrap. So you can think of it as just the yield-bearing token. Okay. So now I'll explain what is PT and YT. So if you deposit 100 DAI staking compound, which is C DAI, if you deposit 100 C DAI into the platform, it will first be converted to SYC DAI, as we mentioned here. It will be converted to a SY token. And then with one SY token, you can actually mint one PT token and one YT token. So yeah, so if you deposit 100 C DAI token, you will have 100 PT and 100 YT. And the functionality of PT is that you can actually redeem the underlying principle of your investment. So like after a period of time, for example, if after 1 year, you can redeem 100 DAI with your 100 PT token. And for the YEL token, if you hold 100 YEL token, you can have the rights to claim the yield of 100 C DAI. So for example, right here, during the whole year, the 100 YT token you hold will slowly generate the yield of the 100 DAI in stake in the compound. And this is generated gradually, so you can claim anytime during the whole year. Okay, so I'll pause it for a while and see if anyone has any question. Yeah, D2, please.
Does the number on the diagram also 1 DAI? Does that mean the yield over that term?
Yeah. It's like if the C DAI APY is 1% in this year, you will have 1 DAI after 1 year. So the holder of the 100 YT token will be able to claim 1 DAI gradually during the whole year.
And the 0.5 comp is actually coming from the liquidity mining.
Yeah. This is probably some incentive from the underlying platform, like Compound or other platform, and it will also be counted in the yield of this YT token.
Got it. Thanks.
Hey, Nicky, sorry. Is there a maturity deadline? Because there is a line on the diagram. So, but it also says that people can redeem whenever they want to. So, is there a maturity or
no? Sorry, can you repeat again? What do you mean?
Is the yield token locked until maturity, or this line is just for demonstration?
For the 100 DAI, you can only claim it after the maturity. But for the yield, you can claim it anytime during the whole year. And this is a specific time. Yeah, this is a specific time. So for example, on the platform, we can have something like PT AUSD with a date. And this token means that the maturity time is basically 2023 and March 30th. So you can only redeem your 100 AUSD after the date. And for YT token, it's basically the same. The full token symbol will become something like this, and you can continuously claim the yield before the date.
Okay, got it. Thanks.
Mia, please.
Want to know the PT token or the YT token can transfer to others, or it will be locked in the platform?
It's actually just a normal token, so you can transfer it to other wallets and you can trade it on the Pendle Finance.
So the reward will according to the final number you hold the PT token.
Yes. If you hold the YT token during the period, you can claim the reward, and if you transfer it to other wallet, the rights to claim the reward is actually transferred.
Oh.
Yeah, but I'm actually not sure if you can claim the reward after you transfer it. But the important thing is that you only get the yield when you hold the token. And also, it's the same thing for PT. Like if you transfer the PT to other people, they can claim the 100 DAI after 1 year.
Oh. I got it.
Okay, so there's another two terms here. The first one is the underlying APY, which means the current APY of the underlying assets. And the implied APY, we will see it later, but it's basically a future APY which is predicted by the market, and you can calculate the implied APY from the price of PT and YT. We will see that later. Okay, so there's some things you can do on the platform. First, you can at any time you can use your one STETH to mint one PT and one YT. And also you can redeem anytime. So anytime if you hold one PT token and one YT token, you can redeem it into one ETH. And these two actions can be done anytime. And for the third one and the fourth, I think I mentioned it before. So you can continuously collect the yield if you hold YT, and you can redeem the underlying assets after the maturity if you hold PT token. And this is why Pendle Finance is very interesting, because you can actually trade PT and YT in their AMM at any time. So this is where a lot of interesting strategy will come. Here I'll cover some price relationships. First of all, the price of PT. This means the market price of the PT. The market price of PT plus the market price of YT will always equal to the price of the underlying assets. Because if it's not, there will be some arbitrage opportunity, because you can just you can mint PT and YT with one STE at any time, and also you can redeem it. So if the price is different, you can just mint and sell for profit. And the second price rule is that the price of PT will slowly approach the price of underlying assets during the maturing period. So because if you hold 100 PT token, after maturity, you will be able to claim 100 DAI. So when the time passes during this period, the price of this 100 PT will actually become closer and closer to 100 DAI. And the third price rule is that the price of YT will slowly become zero during the maturity time. So because if you hold 100 token, you basically enjoy the yield of 100 DAI, right? But after the time passes, the yield becomes less and less. So after the maturity, you will not get anything. So the price of YT token will basically decrease during the whole period to zero. Is there any question for these pricing rules? Okay. If not, if everyone thinks this is reasonable, we can continue to the strategies part. So I'll give 4 example strategies for what you can do using the PT and the YT token. So first of all, as we mentioned in the feature here, user can actually use Pendle Finance to buy assets at a discount and redeem it after maturity. So this is actually quite straightforward. Let's suppose the current APY of STETH is 5%. That means with one STETH, you can the STETH will become like 1.05 STETH after 1 year. So because the YT token represents the underlying yield of this one STETH, so the price, we can imagine that the price of YT will probably be around 0.05 STETH. Because if you hold the YT token for 1 year, it is expected that it will give you 0.05 STETH. So since we have the formula here, the price of PT plus the price of YT should equal to the price of the underlying assets. we can know the price of PT will be around 1 STETH minus the price of YT token. So the price of PT is actually 0.95 STETH. So as a result, you can actually buy 1 PT with 0.95 STETH and redeem 1 STETH after 1 year. So this means you can buy assets in a discount and redeem the assets after maturity. So timing is quite important because because the price of PT is basically market price, right? So how much discount you get essentially depends on the market price of PT. Okay, is there any question for the first strategy? Okay, so I think it's pretty straightforward. Okay, so for the second strategy, you can actually fix your yield with Pendle Finance. So what do I mean by fixing a yield? So the APY of STE or like AUSD or CDI can fluctuate, right? Sometimes the rate is higher and sometimes the rate is lower. So if you stake 1 STE and you are afraid the APY will become lower in the future, you can actually buy PT token instead of staking 1 ETH. Because if the price of PT token is 0.95, instead of staking 1 ETH, you can actually buy this PT token with your 1 ETH, and you will have 1.05 PT, right? Because the price of PT is 0.95, and you use 1 ETH to buy the PT. So instead of staking STE, you basically buy PT, and then after 1 year, you will get 1.05 STE, which is the yield of 5% APY. Yeah. However, if in the future the APY, the STE APY becomes 6%, that's none of your business because you already fixed your APY at 5%. Because you already buy the PT and hold it to the maturity. So you actually fix the yield. Here's another example. If you can find if the price of PT is not 0.95 STE, it's actually 0.9 STE. That means the market actually predicts the future APY will be 10%. Yeah, because if the price of PT is 0.9, that means the price of YT is 0.1. So it's actually that means the market actually expect holding the YT will give you like 0.1 STE. So the expected average APY in the future is actually 10%. So you can actually buy, if you can buy PT at a cheaper price, you can actually lock in the 10% APY. So this is how we calculate the implied APY. Implied APY is actually the price relation of PT and YT. So that represents the market prediction on how the APY will become in the future. Yeah, so these two strategies is actually quite similar. You just buy PT and hold it to the maturity. So buying and holding PT until maturity equals to receiving a fixed yield. Okay, I'll pause for a while. And is there any question for these two strategies? Okay, then I'll go to the next one. Oh, D2, please.
Sorry, a late question. So just a practical question. So is the user expected to, for example, he bought the PT, and at the end of at maturity, he will want to redeem the underlying, right? So in order to redeem it, he will need YT. So is it expected that the user will be able to acquire YT for almost free? So that will not constitute a cost.
You can actually redeem the underlying assets with only PT. If you have PT after maturity, you can just directly redeem the underlying assets because it represents the principal under the investment. So you don't need the YT token here.
Okay, only after maturity.
Yeah. And this mint and the redeem is different from the redeem here.
Okay, got it.
Yeah, because you can do this at any time. If you want to redeem one STE, you need to actually buy one YT token from the market.
Yeah, that makes sense. Thanks.
Saku, please.
Sorry, I don't quite understand. If there's a maturity of different PT, then are they fungible? Like, how is this maturity coded, I guess?
They are actually not fungible. So I can show you on the web UI. So this is the markets currently on Ethereum mainnet. So you can see that here we have two STEs pool, and the reason why we have two is because the maturity is different. So you can see that this pool is maturing in 6 days, and this one is maturing in 97 days. So the token is actually completely separated and different.
Okay, got it. Thanks.
Okay, if there's no more question, I'll continue to the third strategy. So the third strategy actually allows you to earn profit by loaning the yield. So like if the APY of so let's say the current price of YT is actually 0.05 STE, that means the current APY is 5%. And if we think the APY will increase from 5% to 8% in the future, you can actually buy this one YT, because holding this one YT will generate 8% of yield in the future, right? That's what we think it will happen. So one YT will continuously to yield a total of 0.08 STEs. That means and after 1 year, the price of YT token will become 0. So that means the cost of this trade is 0.05, but you can actually get 0.08 STEs for the yield. So if you do this trading, the APY is actually the profit you earn minus the cost. So it's actually around 60% APY, which is a lot higher than 8% if you just continue to stake or holding your STEs. However, if the APY ends up decreasing, like moving the wrong direction as you expected, the market probably will expect the yield decreasing. So the price of YT will probably drop. And also the underlying yield will not be 0.08 STEs. For example, if the APY dropped to 3%, you will actually only get 0.03 STEs in 1 year. That means you will lose money. So you can only do this if you correctly predict the trend of the future APY. So buying and holding YT is basically equal to loaning yield. So combining these two PT trade and YT trade, basically Pendle Finance allows us to do yield trading. So if you predict the APY will be higher than the implied APY, the implied APY is what market predicts, and it will reflect the price of YT. So if you predict the APY will be higher than the implied APY, you can actually buy YT, because either the market will slowly predict the APY will be higher, so the price of YT will goes up, and you can sell it for profit, or you can just hold the YT and enjoys the higher APY of the underlying assets. So this is the strategy right here. And if you predict the APY will be lower than the implied APY, then you can actually buy PT. Because the PT price will go up. The reason is that if the APY goes down, the price of YT will goes down, and that means the price of PT will go up. Or if you hold the PT to the maturity, it will actually earn more APY because you already lock your APY. Even if the APY in the future becomes lower, your APY is already locked. So it's better to buy PT instead of holding the underlying assets. And this is the strategy of the fixed yield here. So in short, basically hold YT means you are long on yield, and hold PT means you are short on yield. So you can actually earn money on Pendle Finance if you can successfully predict the future yield APY better than what market predict. And also you can probably like buy some YT or PT token if someone is dumping it very hard. So you can actually get a very nice APY on these tokens. Yeah, is there any question on these two strategies? All right, so that's all for the example strategy, and I hope this will give a clear picture on what you can do with Pendle Finance. And next we have the pool and LP. Their pool design is actually quite interesting, so I want to cover that, and also I'll cover the liquidity providing and token economics. So because we have PT trading and YT trading, right? So normally we will think that they will have two separate pools, something like PT ETH or YT ETH. But Pendle Finance actually only have one pool per market. They have a pool like PTSY. Remember the SY is the standardized yield token. This one right here. So it's basically the same thing as the underlying assets. So you can think that they only have pools like PT, STE, something like that. The interesting thing is that they only have one pool, but they can actually do the YT trading with this pool. So what happens under the hood is that I'll give an example if you want to sell YT with this AMM pool. So if you want to sell YT, that means you want to sell YT into some underlying assets. So you will finally get SY token. And what happened is that they will have a swap contract, and if you send the YT in here, the swap contract will actually borrow PT token from the AMM pool, and then they will use the YT token and PT token to redeem the SY token, and then they sell this SY token into PT and pay the debt back to the AMM pool. And for the rest of the SY, you will send it to the user. So this is why they can use only one pool for trading both PT and the YT. Because YT is somehow hide in the SY token right here. And this works because we have the price relation, right? Because PT plus YT is equal to SY. So when the price of PT goes up, the price of YT will goes down. So this is how it works in the pool. So why do they want to design this? So first of all, if you only have one pool for two trading markets, two trading pairs, the liquidity is actually concentrated because liquidity provider don't need to provide liquidity to two separated pool. They can just put all their liquidity into one pool. So the liquidity is better. And for the liquidity provider, they are earning trading fees for both PT swap and YT swap because there's only one pool. Also, there are some additional advantages for the AMM pool designed by PT and SY because after the maturity, the price of PT will become closer to the price of YT, right? Because the price of PT will be closer to the price of SY. And because the price of YT will slowly decreasing to zero. So actually you can somehow know that these two assets will have a very close price if you hold the liquidity position to after the maturity. That means your IL is actually controlled, it's actually minimal. Yeah, it's actually minimized. And also they do some interesting optimization for their AMM. So as you can imagine, like these underlying assets actually has a quite predictable APY, right? Like for compound and Aave, we expect the APY will be between like 0% to like 15%. It's not reasonable if the APY goes to like 200% normally. So the APY will actually map to a reasonable price range of PT and YT because the price of PT and YT can be used to calculate the APY, right? So there's actually a relationship between APY and the price of PT and YT. That means they can actually somehow predict the reasonable price of this AMM because there's a reasonable range of the APY, there's a reasonable range for the AMM. So what they can do is that they can concentrate the liquidity between this range, the price range, because that's where most of the trade will happen, right? So this is what they do. I didn't dive into the implementation detail of this customizable AMM, but I think it's pretty understandable that they can do the concentrate liquidity. So since they only have the pool for PT and SY token, if you want to provide liquidity on the Pendle Finance, you need to somehow has a PT and YT and SY token in your wallet. And SY token is just underlying assets, so that's simple. To have some PT, you will probably need to buy it from the AMM pool, or you can actually mint the PT and YT with your SY token first. And they actually provide a very convenient UI so that you can just provide any token to any pool, and they will do the swap and all the PT and YT minting and selling for you. So it's actually very convenient. So for example, if you go to the pools right here, and I'll just click. So there's actually a manual UI here. This is basically similar to the any AMM. So to provide liquidity, you need to have some underlying inputs. For example, for the USDC pool, the underlying assets or the SY token is actually USDC. So you need to have USDC in your wallet. And you also need to have PT because the pool is PT SY. So you need to have both PT and SY. And they also have the automatic something they call zap in, which you can actually choose any token you want to provide the liquidity for this pool. And it will magically do the swapping and under the hood, so you can provide liquidity. Okay. Is there any question for their pool design and also the LP liquidity providing? D2, please.
So can I understand it as the risk of being the liquidity provider in this pool is that in the worst case, you might lose all your potential yield, but you will still keep the principal?
Yes, I think you can say that.
Yeah, because I'm thinking about the extreme case where, for example, your compound or arbitrage token, their APY goes to infinity. That means your pool will basically flooded with PT because everybody want to get the yield. So in the end, you will have only PT and you can only use the PT to redeem the principal, but then you lose all the potential yield you could have been if you just holding the original token.
Yeah, I think that's right.
Okay, got it. Thanks.
Yeah, so provide liquidity basically earns you the swapping fee. So people trade PT and YT will use the pool, so you can get the swapping fee. Also, finally, I'll quickly cover their tokenomics, and I think it's it's very simple because they just use the VE token model. So they have the Pendle token and VE Pendle if you lock the Pendle token for some period of time. For the VE Pendle, for the usage of VE Pendle, you can of course do the governance. And also if you hold VE Pendle, it will boost your LP reward. So if you are providing liquidity on Pendle Finance, it's better if you hold some VE Pendle. And also they have some incentive reward. So it's very similar to the CRV. Basically you can vote where these incentive rewards will go. So each pool will have a different incentive reward. I think the interesting part is that if you vote on some kind of pool, you can actually get like 80% of the swap fee of the pool. And LP actually only gets 20% of the swap fee. Also, if you hold the Pendle, you can receiving a share of protocol revenue. And the revenue comes from two places. The first one is they basically charge 3% on the yield of every YT. So YT will generate yield, but the 3% will be take away from from the YT holder. And also, if there's some unclaimed PT after mature, because the PT is basically because YT, the corresponding YT will not receive yield. So if there is some PT that is matured but unclaimed, the yield will actually goes to the protocol. So that's another source of the protocol revenue. Okay, that's all I have here. So is there any question for today's brown bag? Yeah, please.
So what you said is the protocol will claim yield token that is mature but unclaimed. So that means the yield token, is it yield token or P token that keep generating yields after the maturity?
Yeah, you can think. I think it's like if user put one STETH into the platform, there will be one PT and one YT in the platform, right? So
right.
the yield of that one STETH will goes to the holder of that YT token. But after the maturity, basically the yield of that one STETH will not go to the YT token, right? Because that's already matured, that's already expired. So
Okay,
user can now claim that one STETH, but if the user didn't do that, and basically the yield will go to the protocol.
right. Okay, understand.
Okay, so they actually have two UI. If you click the toggle right here, there's a simple UI and a pro UI. Oh, why is it loading so slow? Okay, so for the simple UI, they basically hide all the information about PT and YT. So the only thing you know is that you can buy assets in a discount and you can claim it after a period of time, and that's it. And also you can provide liquidity. So that's for the simple UI. But if you click here and open the Pro UI, you can actually see that under the hood, it's all PT and YT trading. So you can just trade on PT token and YT token.
And so there are some pools with two tokens names like R, ETH, and WETH. Does that mean is the liquidity token of a pool?
Yeah, I'm actually not sure about this. I imagine that it probably means the underlying assets of this pool is probably RETH and WETH. Like for these kind of pool, the underlying assets is just STETH or S8, which is stake 8 point, or for Lux token. But for these kind of tool, I guess the underlying assets is probably these two tokens.
Okay. So either those two tokens or the liquidity token of that pool, I guess.
Yeah, I guess so. So if you provide liquidity, you can probably choose what token you want to provide. Yeah, so you can actually, oh, it's actually a token from Balancer. Oh, I didn't know that. So I guess it's a token from Balancer.
Okay. So they can also kind of do swap, I guess, because they have so many options. So maybe user can just swap from these assets.
Yeah. I think this is just like similar underlying assets. Because I use the manual UI. If you use a Zap, you can actually choose from a lot different tokens.
Okay. Got it. Thanks.
And you can see that currently, I think the APY is actually very, very high. So for the USDC pool, there are actually a base APY of like 17%. And also they boosted it with the Pendle incentive to a 42%. So I think it's very, very high. But most of it comes from the incentive. All right, so if there's no more question, I think that's it for today. All right, thanks, guys.
Thank you.